Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to typically the Monday night YouTube, Instagram, not Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter live. That being said, had some Wi-Fi issues last night. I do apologize for that. I always try and show up, something I talk about with trading that I think is extra important is showing up every single day, whether that be to study, whether that to be review, whether that to be track data, always show up every day. I kind of think back to when I was getting started trading back in, pre-2007. 2007 was when I started day trading low price penny stocks. But even before that, I was showing up every day, studying, trying to find an edge, and never miss that day. So that's why I'm here for you guys tonight. What I would like to do is I've got several announcements. That's one of the big reasons I wanted to be here. I wanted to tell you guys about stuff we're working on. And then probably just kind of do some open Q&A. So remember, whether you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, the team is watching the comments. They'll kind of pick questions, drop them to me on Slack, and then we'll answer them. So that being said, let's get to work here. One of the big things I want to let you guys know about is tomorrow night. And again, team will drop the link in chat. I'm hosting a free webinar with Matt Monaco. Okay, many of you may or may not be familiar with Matt Monaco. Hopefully, you know Matt. Great guy. Man, talking about hard workers and people that show up every day. This guy, young guy, works his freaking butt off. He started out learning from Tim Sykes, started his own podcast, and he started the Beyond the PDT podcast. And some of you might know him from there. And I actually was so impressed what Matt was doing with his own podcast. I basically lured him into coming over and helping me with the Steady Trade podcast. So most of you may know him from the Twists. He's been doing This Week in Steady Trade the last few months now, actually quite a while now. Time flies, and we're actually going to be doing more and more podcasts, and Matt is helping me out with them, and he is crushing it lately. And trading these low price stocks. The exact type of setups we look for every week on the watch list. So the cool thing is you'll be able to get a different perspective, because that's what I like to do with these webinars. I do a lot. I do a lot of these webinars. I do the Instagram lives. I do the YouTube lives, and at the end of the day, it's one man's perspective, and that's why I like to bring on the guests like Matt and others to give their perspective and how they're applying things and what they're doing to find their niche. So again, go to stocksandtrade.com/free-webinar. The link will be there. And oh man, is my Wi-Fi? Well, looks like my Wi-Fi is okay. Yeah, it's hanging in there. Looks like it's hanging in there. So anyway, check out that webinar tomorrow night with Matt. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Other things I want to talk about is new podcast today. Steady Trade podcast. Very interesting perspective. We had a guest, Peter Leeds, and it's interesting. Again, speaking of different perspectives, Peter actually is more of a kind of long-term investor in penny stocks, which I admit, I've been around this stuff for a long time, and he brought a very, very unique and interesting approach to penny stocks. Listen, I talk about this all the time. Day trading them, not believing in the stories, being skeptical, etc. Check out Peter Leeds. Great podcast. Really enjoyed it. Very nice guy and very interesting thought process from him. So I really enjoyed that one. Last thing, and then we'll get to Q&A. The last is most of you may notice, I'm traveling right now. So I've actually got a flight back home tomorrow, and I will be doing a 6:45 Eastern YouTube live. Or Instagram live. So tomorrow, I'm doing every day on the Stocks to Trade Instagram. I will be there tomorrow because I got a flight, but I will be there showing up for you every single day. That being said, 6:45 Eastern tomorrow morning. Who's going to be committed? Who's going to be there? All right? Or who's going to sleep till noon? All right? That's what I want to know. Okay? So that being said, I will be on Instagram Live tomorrow morning just at 6:45 Eastern. Last thing I want to talk about is VKRT and why I think you should be saving this chart pattern, saving this, and looking for these every single day. So let me show you what we went over in the Steady Trade team this morning. What I do every single morning, live every day, we're breaking down the most potentially volatile, biggest movers of the day. And, listen, we're looking for consistently repeatable patterns. One of my favorite things that I tell you guys to do all the time, focus on afternoons. And VKRT was an interesting one today because, NVAX, I'm hoping most of you saw that big gap up by NVAX this morning on that $1.6 billion for the Operation Warp Speed. Great code word, or great project name, by the way. So anyway, NVAX brought back a lot of these virus plays, and we said this morning, VKRT, it's a virus play, former runner, watching that $8 break with risk on VWAP in the 760s. And you, again, if you're here a lot, this VWAP hold pattern that we look for all the time is our favorite afternoon pattern, and really favorite part-time trader pattern. Simple fact is, if you've got a day job, if you've got school, if you got a family, maybe you got multiple jobs and you're trying to learn trading, I'm going to say over and over again, one of the biggest things you need to do is focus on afternoons, because what afternoons gives you is confirmation, okay? We get wild moves every morning. Even in real stocks move all over the place early in the day. Then look for those trends. Actually, I have a funny drawing, okay? And I talked about this morning, and bear with me, okay? What I like to do with the Steady Trade team is I like to have fun. And maybe I've given this analogy a lot, but I always think about, high school, college. What are the classes that I learned the most? What are the ones that I took away the most from? It wasn't the subject, okay? It was, it could have been history, it could have been chemistry, it could have been English, it could have been physics, it could have been anything. In high school and college, the idea is you're taking all kinds of varied curriculum to get a good base. But I'll tell you this, the classes that I remember, the classes that I had the best grades, the classes that I still remember, I'm 78 years old, I haven't been in high school since before World War II. The classes that I remember today are the teachers that were most enthusiastic, that loved the material, and you know what? They had fun doing it, okay? Maybe they threw out a little joke here and there. Maybe they were, and they showed up high energy and they had enthusiasm. So, that being said, what this drawing denotes is why I highly recommend waiting, and this is the whiteboard, so again, cut me some slack, but why we look for those afternoon moves, because this denotes that crazy, just choppy action. And many times, maybe you've been there. Maybe you've been there and some stock, you bought it or you shorted it early. It chopped all over the place, stopped you out, and then ultimately ended up trending and breaking out into the afternoon. So that's what I'm denoting here. And then the other great thing about the lack of confirmation is if the stock is choppy at the open and then fades all day, it's just an ignore. So that's what I'm showing with the X right there. Yellow's VWAP, green is a breakout, red is a breakdown, and a stock that you would ignore. So that's why I wanted to talk about VXRT tonight, because stock gaps up big only because of NVAX. That's the only reason this was up. It was a sympathy play. But then it's choppy at the open. Okay, it drops from 785 down to 730, jumps back up to 8, drops as low as 7, jumps back up to 750. So this is, in my opinion, look at that pre-market high, 830, and then a low of 7. Again, having fun with the drawing, but does VXRT, use your imagination, but doesn't it look a little bit like this, where it's just all over the place in pre-market and after the open? Then look at it. Look at how it holds VWAP midday, holds VWAP late day, holds VWAP into the 2 p.m. window. Yeah, it dips below. But come on, it dips what? 9 cents below VWAP. It's an $8 stock, and the lowest it was below VWAP was 9 cents a share. Then look at this. Look at that volume. And then it breaks 8. And yeah, you got to be ready. Okay, yeah, you got to be prepared. But those notes I showed you from this morning, this was on a 9 a.m. webinar. And I said, watch 8 with risk on 760s. Virus sympathy play. So it breaks 8. You would have stopped down at, the wild thing is, the funniest thing is, my notes were to stop out at 760s, and that was still VWAP at 3:30 p.m. So you're risking 40 cents a share, and the stock spikes a total of basically $2 a share. It almost touched 10 in after hours. Those are the type of setups you're looking for. Hot sector, big gainer early, consolidates around VWAP, breaks into the 2 p.m. window on crazy volume, and you've got VWAP to risk off of. And you know what? The other wildest thing is, these are stocks that we've been watching for weeks. This thing's been on the watch list for weeks and weeks and weeks of stuff that, as a virus play. It's what we call a former runner. As recently as, June 24th, my wedding anniversary. From June 24th, in 2 days, it went from 3 to 14. Those are the type of moves you look for. And then it continues, it pulls back, but holds its gains and then breaks on the sympathy play. So that's something I want you to be looking for every day. All right, let's get to some questions here. Sorry, what I'm doing is, again, since I'm traveling, I'm reading Slack on my phone. So I'm not texting or checking Instagram. I don't have my multi-monitor set up. So what do you think about VBIV? Okay, let me take some notes. Higher float. Nice breakout. Any news, or is this just moving because of NVAX? I don't see any recent news. I do like everyone on Twitter taunting short sellers. I don't see any news. Let me check the breaking news chat. So I don't like the fact that I'm now listen, I might be missing the news. Maybe something is out that I don't see. But that being said, price action alone, volume alone, 26 million shares traded today. And this is a VWAP. I mean, listen, what does anything look familiar? Anything look familiar on VBIV? Okay, you ready? I'm going to do a little experiment here. I just ranted about how much I love VXRT. Are you ready? So watch VBIV. 3, 2, 1. Did anything change? Back to VBIV. VWAP hold high at daybreak in after hours. Okay. I'm not saying you should have traded VBIV because of it, because the move happened in after hours. But that being said, tomorrow, week open, reclaim of 4 for continued squeeze. Thank you for VBIV. I didn't see this one. For VXRT, when it went up really quickly, okay, let me slow down. I read a little fast. For VXRT, it went up really quickly, like 3 minutes. Usually late day VWAP holds, I track gradually reclaim the high over a long period. Why do you still think it's good to enter for today? Now, nanification, great question. Now, remember, I did say you had to be ready, okay? And here's the thing with VXRT. So nanification, good question. I missed this, okay? Here's the simple fact. Nanification, I know I went on and on about having the plan on this. I missed it too, okay? I sat down to do a webinar at 3:30. I was doing the introduction. I was talking about the thing, I had a bunch of meetings today. That's why I'm traveling. And then someone's like, "Did you see VXRT?" And I'm like, "Why? What's up?" And VXRT was at 9, okay? So you're right, nanification. It moved fast. You had to be ready. You had to be glued to the screen. But this is what I'm going to say too. It didn't bother me. Okay, I missed VXRT. Totally missed it. I was on a webinar, a steady trade team webinar. I was answering questions. I was getting ready to look for some overnight trades. But here's the thing. Guess tomorrow? Guess what's going to happen tomorrow? There's going to be another VXRT. It might be VBIV, okay? Guess what's going to happen Thursday? There'll be another VXRT. That's, I harp on this a lot. In 15 years of day trading, this might be the lowest FOMO market ever, in my opinion. Ever. For me. I mean, I just get so little fear of missing out. Because it's like, yeah, I missed VXRT, but you know what? Wait 5 minutes. Wait a day. If you're out of day trades, let's say you're under the PDT and you didn't have a day trade and you missed VXRT or it moved too fast. Wait a day, okay? But very valid point, nanification. It moved fast. You had to be at the screen and ready, no doubt. Is sideways action a good indicator for breakouts? Well, when they're holding VWAP, yes, Diddy. So you got to look for the right sideways action. So what we're looking for, and I'm doing the hand thing again, okay? Here comes the fingers, okay? We're looking for a big gainer early that's in a hot sector that has news, the day of or maybe the night before. Then it's it's up on unusual volume and it's consolidating sideways above VWAP. So the short answer is yes, but you got to have those other criteria. It can't just be, you can't be looking at, Diddy. You can't just be looking at some low volume, here, like an example, like some low volume oil and gas stock that's just going sideways. I mean, you know, and I just picked oil and gas because it's a sector that there's so many bag holders in the oil and gas sector from a month or so ago. Everyone's always hoping that oil and gas goes up. And so that I just chose that as an example. But you need the four or more criteria. It can't just be any low volume sideways stock. If it hits the 5-finger variable, Johnny, and ends the day above VWAP, could this be a move for the swing trade? Yes, if. Now, and I know I'm throwing a lot of variables at you guys tonight, but I like the questions. Good questions tonight. So John Marco, if it's not like a really sketchy stock, okay? And I know, so actually, I forgot. I almost forgot, actually. I did a recent blog post, and I'm sure the team will post it for me. I did a blog post called Real Stocks versus Junk Stocks, okay? So go to Stocks to Trade blog, or I'm sure the team will drop it in the chat. So what I'm getting at, Johnny, even if it has the 5 criteria, be really careful overnighting, aka swing trading, junk stocks, okay? And if you want elaboration, I did a whole blog post a couple days ago on that. But good question. Thoughts on NOVN? I got to swallow my water. Okay. Remember, something that I pride myself in is there's no such thing as bad questions. And I think, and this might be counterintuitive to some of you, I think there's lessons to learn from what is not a good setup. Because then you can recognize it. So, 999, this is a great example of a low volume, sideways stock without news. What do they do? It's a biotech, biotechs are always a hot sector. But, I mean, it's just sideways, doing nothing. It's a 50-cent stock. It's just, there's no news. So, this is a good one to ignore. So and as always, I'm not going to beat you up because I want you to know what's good and what isn't good. But great example of a sideways stock, not in a particularly hot sector, and doesn't have news. And remember, and you can back up the stream, okay? I hadn't looked at NOVN in months. As soon as I brought up the chart, you saw my face. Thoughts on BIOC? Big gainer late in the day. Oh my gosh, there's so many of these charts. Another virus play. Don't tell me. Please don't tell me it's at 52-week highs. Please. Okay, it's not. But not far away from a breakout. Higher float. Not my favorite. I can tell you this. Chris, it is a virus play. It did go red to green late. It did spike a lot. I prefer VKRT. Again, no offense, but this chart, to me, it's not a clean breakout. And again, look at VKRT, all blue sky. BIOC, tons of overhead resistance. So now, again, if it can break $1, okay, let me write that down. So my notes are BIOC too choppy, but if $1 breaks, it goes. So Should an ideal trade be 3-to-1 risk to reward or higher, such as 5-to-1 risk to reward? Luis Pena, I always so what I do and what I teach in the steady trade team is we always focus on 3-to-1 risk to reward. That's your goal. Now, if you focus on 3-to-1 risk to reward trades, frequently you're going to get stocks that blow through your goal, spike hard, and they get you that 5 or that 6 or that 10-to-1 risk to reward. But I think you have to plan and prepare for 3-to-1, okay? Because I think if your risk to reward ratio gets too big, what's going to happen. So let's say you create a trade plan that's based on 5-to-1 risk to reward. I think a lot of times what's going to happen is it's going to hit, 3-to-1 and then maybe fade, and then you end up taking a break-even trade or a loser. I feel like planning for a 5 or a 6 or a 10-to-1 risk to reward is getting greedy, okay? Now, my number one goal is for you to stay in the game, to learn this, to be around a year from now, to be around 2 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. So I teach conservative trading, no doubt about it. But I think one of the reasons we see such a high failure rate is people have unrealistic expectations. They want to double their money every day. Now, I think I blame social media a lot. I blame chat rooms a lot. But I think, and this is a good topic, and I know I'm kind of going on a little bit, but I think you plan for 3-to-1, and if you get 5 or you get 6 or you get 10 or you buy some, micro float that goes 1,000% and you make, 50-to-1, that's an anomaly. That's a little bit of luck. So have realistic expectations, and I say focus on 3-to-1, and if you do better, congrats. So, is WKHS possible run? I'm impressed. I thought WKHS, this thing almost went green today. It's funny, if you were on the Instagram live in the morning, I talked about them I said it. It's on Instagram. You could go watch it right now. I'm like, feels like a slow day for the electric car plays. What happened? They all gapped down, and basically every single one of them went green on the day, except for WKHS, and WKHS dang near went green on the day. So if we can get a week open red to green, I totally think WKHS can continue. And the other lesson from that is be okay with being wrong, okay? I laughed about it. 30 seconds ago, I joked about the fact that I was totally wrong. I was totally wrong on the electric car plays this morning. I was like, they're probably going to go sideways for a few days. Then maybe we need some more news and they'll get going again. They all went red to green and all took off. Doesn't bother me because I know that all I can do, especially at 8:30 a.m. on Instagram Live, all I can do is look at the information that's in front of me. And at 8:30 a.m., every single one of them were gapping down. We had no new electric car news, and that's all I can do. All I can do is plan for that. So, that being said, let's see what tomorrow brings. Bought CR. So last question, and I got to go. Busy day. I'm losing my voice. I bought CRSV at 593, thinking it would spike back after a strong morning. What did I do wrong, and any idea why it dropped? Number one, Anthony, what I look for, and if you're in the steady trade team, one of our favorite setups is the dip and rip. When we're looking at a low float stock with high volume, in my opinion, CRSV or CRVS was not a buy until it broke that 725 area. So now it sounds like you stuck to your stop. You moved on. It sounds like you're not bag holding, which I'm hoping you're not. And the only thing I think you did wrong, and listen, if you stopped out, if you stuck to your plan, no trade is a bad trade. The only bad trade is violating your stop. Well, if you're trading some low volume, non-hot sector stock, okay, that can still be a bad trade. But let's, in the case of CRVS, I don't think there's any bad trade when this thing spikes $1 a share, breaks VWAP into the 945 window on high volume, and it's a virus play. The only bad trade is if you didn't stick to your stop and you're still holding now when it probably gaps down tomorrow, okay? So take that into consideration, number one. Number two, the dip and rip, one of my favorite setups, would not come into play until a break of that pre-market high. So if I had to criticize your trade, I think you were early. You're just early. So nothing wrong with that. So, all right, everyone, I need to go. I got to travel in the morning. Busy day today. I did a bunch of webinars in the Steady Trade team. Actually met up with my friend Tim Sykes today. We worked on some projects that we've got coming. Busy. But last time I will beat on this though. I tried last night. Wi-Fi didn't work, but I'm tired. Long day, busy travel day tomorrow. But I showed up for you guys because I know every week this grows. Every week there's great questions. There's great comments. And I want to prove to you that the reason, I'm here 15 years later is because it didn't matter when I was learning. It didn't matter if I was tired. It didn't matter if I had a busy day. It didn't matter if I had to take 2 flights and drive. I think many of you know I live in a rural area. I gotta take 2 flights. I got a layover. I got an hour and a half drive home. Didn't matter. I still showed up. And whether it was 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, or midnight, I put in the time, put in the effort, put in the work, and showed up. And great questions tonight. But I think the biggest point I wanted to make was that if you want to succeed at this, if you want to make it work, you can't be tired. Okay? I'm sorry. The markets are littered with traders that were too tired or didn't feel like it or had a cold or had a bad day. I don't care. If you want to be successful at this, you are trying to accomplish one of the most difficult tasks ever. Okay? Consistently profitable day trading momentum stocks may be one of the most difficult things that anyone can try and do. And you won't succeed if you can't play hurt. All right? If you tweak your ankle and you're like, Coach, I can't make it. Good luck. Because you know what? There's a million guys, there's a million girls with hurt ankles that are ready to take your money. All right? They're willing to play hurt. They're willing to show up. And if you got that kind of attitude, that will put you in the 10% that succeed. So, all right, everyone, have a great night. See you tomorrow morning at 6:45 Eastern on Instagram Live. If you want to play hurt, I'll also be, here's the thing. I'm also going to be on that webinar with Matt Monaco at 8 p.m. Eastern, okay? You putting in a 14-hour day tomorrow like I am? Well, but I got to get up at like 4 a.m. You putting in a 16-hour day tomorrow like I am? Or, do you want to follow some alerts? Or, I'll work hard the next day or the next day. I got a 16-hour day ahead of me. What do you got? Okay. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you again for being here. I know I got a little drill sergeant-y tonight, and I'm yelling at you here, but I do really love this stuff. I appreciate all of you being here. So don't be discouraged if I yelled at you a little bit tonight. But it's true. Everything I said is true. So have a great night. Hope to see you in the Steady Trade team. Hope to see you tomorrow night. If not, I'll see you on the podcast. I'll see you next Monday night. I'll see you on Instagram Live. Anyway, wherever I see you, I look forward to seeing you.